the vagus nerve?
Yeah, so the vagus nerve, so I'll share a little bit. The vagus nerve is the longest nerve. It's running from the brain stem to the coccyx. And it's essentially, it's an incredibly important nerve for regulating the nervous system. So we can go into fight or flight, which is kind of, actually it's the middle. And then if you go more dysregulated, you would go into freeze. So to come out of freeze, we have to pass first through fight or flight, and then we pass up to the social engagement nervous system branch. And the vagus nerve is regulating the social engagement. So the more we do exercises to strengthen our vagus nerve, the easier it's going to be when we're in stressful situations for that nerve to kick in and kind of get us back to safety, back to feeling safe. And also, helping us. It's not like if we're in a very stressful situation, the thing to remember is that if our nervous system is moving into a reactionary response, that's a good thing. It's that when the outside stimuli doesn't warrant our nervous system getting all fuzzled, then we don't want it to go there. So that's why we do a lot of these practices. So we'll start with, so the branch moves from the brainstem to the coccyx, and then it has little branches that stem out all throughout the body. So it touches all your major organs. What we'll work with our ears in this exercise, so it's touching the auricular branches of the vagus nerve when we work with the ears. So let's do that exercise first. So what I want you guys to do is you're going to find this little crease that's kind of in between the two folds up here in the ear. You can see where my finger is. You're going to find that little crevice on both ears.
Found half the beach in my ear.
A little sand in there too. You're going to start drawing some circles with your fingers. You don't want to press too hard into the ear. And we're moving the circles in a backward motion, so back towards the back of your skull. And so when we're massaging the auricular branches of the vagus nerve, it's stimulating the entire nerve. And then just let your breath be soft. And then you can move the circles in the other direction. And this is a great exercise to do at night, like if you're having a little bit of trouble unwinding before going to bed. So this will kind of get us out of that sympathetic nervous system activation. And then take your fingers and just kind of tug on the ears, pulling them away from the head. Again, let your breath be really soft. You're not trying to control the inhale or exhale. You're just letting the breath be. And then we're going to place our fingers just right at the beginning of the ear canal. So don't go into the ear canal, but just on the outside of it. And we draw circles there, but paying more attention on kind of pushing the ears back. More. This is really nice at night to do too if you get a little bit of oil, like some sesame oil or coconut oil, and rub your ears with it also. And then give some gentle tugs again. And then kind of taking the upper part of your ear and pulling a bit more away. And then let's activate the branch of the vagus nerve that also hits the back of the eye. So it's the occipital branch of the vagus nerve. So we're going to do that. You clasp your fingers behind your head. You're going to put just some gentle pressure. And then what we're doing here, so we're activating where the branch is hitting the eyes, and this is also going to balance the right and left hemisphere of the brain. So without turning your head, just keeping the breath relaxed, you don't turn your head, and you're going to turn your eyes all the way to the right as far as they can go. And you'll feel kind of a stretch with your eyes. And we want to stay here for a few moments. And what happens for a lot of people is they might yawn. They might take a bigger breath. Just letting the eyes stretch all the way over to the right. And on your next inhale, bring your eyes back to center. And we'll go to the left. So in the next breath, turn your eye gaze all the way to the left. Let your breath be soft. You might notice there's a difference between the right and the left side. Say a couple more breaths. And coming back to your eye center. So it's already, so for me, I already start when I do that exercise, it already kind of is bringing this like soothingness in. So it's balancing right, left hemisphere, and it's also activating that, the auricular branches of or the occipital branches of the vagus nerve. So let's move. I want to bring you guys through a basic practice of orienting. So this is kind of the entryway into the blending of the mindfulness work and the nervous system work. And it's a presencing exercise. So when we use our five senses to bring our attention to the five senses, we can't help but get present, right? Because our five senses are always in the present moment. Like you can't be hearing something that happened in the past or that's happening in the future. So we're using the senses to bring the awareness right here. And this is an incredible exercise if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're in like a social situation where some anxiety is starting to come up. It's good to take a seat, get rooted, and then start this orientation practice. So both of you will be seated, have your feet flat on the ground, and just first make sure you're comfy. Notice if the weight is even on both of your legs, on both of your sit bones. And if it's not even, see if you can adjust the weight a bit. And so have your gaze not at me. So if your gaze can be a little off to one side, or you can even have your gaze kind of more in front of you, like a few feet on the ground in front of you. So we'll start just kind of rolling the shoulders, taking a few breaths. And let's start with what we feel. So we'll start with the sense of touch. So finding like a point to focus on. And just notice what parts of your body are in contact with your chair or with your seat. For some of you, if you're watching this later, you might be sitting on the ground. So just noticing what part of your body is touching. You might notice there's parts of your body where there's a little bit more weight. And then notice the parts of your body that have less weight. On your seat, on the floor. So we're bringing all of our awareness to this sense of touch. Notice the back of your thighs. What are they touching? Your feet. And then bring your awareness so laser focused that you can start to notice more subtle aspects of your sense of touch. So noticing your skin touching your clothes. See if you can notice your belly touching the waistband. Notice the air touching your skin. See if you can notice the air coming in and out of your nose. Maybe you can feel that touching your upper lip. And if thoughts start to arise, just bring the awareness back to the sense of touch. And then let's move into taste. Notice if there's anything that you're tasting in this moment. And while you're doing that, you're also keeping in tune with that sense of touch as well. And then let's bring it into the sense of smell. So is there anything that you can smell? Still paying attention to what you can feel with your sense of touch. Maybe something new arose. Maybe you feel a gurgling in your belly. You feel hunger. Noticing your smell, your taste, your touch. And let's bring in your sense of hearing. What do you hear in the environment? Orient to what you're hearing. Notice what you're hearing close by and what you might be hearing at a distance. And then let's bring in our sense of sight. So you can look around What do you see that's right in front of you? What do you see that's a distance? And let your eyes really scan the room. So, just this simple practice of letting your eyes scan your environment is also signaling to your nervous system that you're safe. And all of our anxieties, all of the dysregulation in the nervous system, the root of it is that your system doesn't feel safe. So, that's the big thing that we want to bring in. You're just naming to yourself, what are the objects that you see? And now bringing all of the five senses together. So, orienting to your entire environment. What do you see? What do you feel? What do you hear? Taste? Smell? And as the thoughts start coming to pull your attention away from the senses, just bring your attention back to what's right here in front of you, right in this moment. And taking a couple big breaths, and we'll transition out of orienting, but we're going to transition right into tracking. So, tracking is a nice exercise to do in congruence with the orienting, because it's also your relationship to the environment that's right in front of you that you're in. So, with tracking, we are picking an item, picking an object that we see, and we're naming it to ourselves, and we're naming it in relationship to us. So, this is another presencing exercise that's incredibly helpful with anxiety, if there's overwhelm, simply as a way to bring nervous system regulation. So, you pick an object. So, for me, for example, it would be a plant. So, I'd say to myself, plant, me. So then I'm going to bring the reference back to myself. And you can even, I like to have clients even touch their chest, and you can even look at yourself. So, me. So, this is me in my body, right here, present, not in the thoughts of anxiety of the future or in the past. This is me. That's a plant. So, you pick an object that's in the room with you, and you can just say it to yourself. I might also say dresser, me. And then I want to use a couple more descriptive words for the dresser. So to myself, I'd say brown, smooth. I might move to another object. So we do this with 3 or 4 objects in our environment. We name the object to ourselves, and then we name a couple of descriptive words about that object. And then we go back and forth And if you're by yourself doing this, you can also do this out loud. So I would say, plant me. Plant me. And you'll start to notice as you do this for a few more moments, there's like a very calming soothingness starts to wash over the nervous system. So try it on for a couple more moments. Also making sure that you're still feeling your feet on the ground. And this to take it a little bit further with the tracking. If you're working on boundary setting, perhaps there's something going on with somebody else. You can do this with another person, just in your own mind. So you can imagine that person. You're naming that person, and you can actually visualize them as far away from you as you need, that you feel safe. You're naming that person, and then you bring the awareness back to yourself. So there's like this separation that happens. Okay, that's them. This is me. So it's a great way to bring it into the realm of boundaries as well. So that's our tracking. And I want for our last exercise, I'm going to bring you guys through a little exercise called potent posture. So we'll stand up for this last one. Chair out of the way. So the potent posture, this is our gateway into getting familiar with how we relate to our internal environment. So we work first by noticing how we are moving. And then as this increases, we increase what's called interoception. And this is our ability to sense what's going on in the inside of ourselves. So being able to literally be able to working with our organs, start working with our autonomic nervous system. But the entry point is in our movements with the outside of our body. So we start, let's just feel our feet grounded on the ground. If you have shoes on, it's nice to slip them off if that's really easy. Just so you can be barefoot or in your socks. And take a moment just to feel the weight on both of your legs. So notice if you have more weight in your right leg, or if you have more weight in your left, or if it feels pretty balanced. And if it feels like maybe it's a little off balance, see if you can bring it a bit more balanced. And then also just noticing the bottoms of your feet, if maybe you have more weight on the inside edge of your foot or on the outside edge. And then we're going to begin to just kind of sway our weight from side to side. So swaying the weight from right foot to left, left foot to right. And letting the breath be free. So noticing if there's any holding of the breath happening. So our bodies start adapting to the stresses that we experience in childhood or throughout our lives. And our bodies start holding themselves in different patterns, in different ways that are bringing us out of a potent posture. And this is also on very subtle levels. It's bringing us out of regulation in our nervous system. So we want to work with getting aligned in our posture, as well as noticing what are these habitual movements that my body is doing. Am I always leaning on my right? Am I always carrying my weight on my left? And then noticing, like, where did that pattern start? And also, how do we get ourselves back into alignment? Because it's easier for us to change on the physical level and then have that ripple into the psychological level as well, rather than the other way around, because our bodies are always here right now. The psyche can be all over the place. So we're shifting side to side, pause in the center, just taking a moment to feel kind of being balanced in the center. And then we're going to start to bring our weight, shifting it forward and back. And try to adjust where your gaze is too. So if you've been looking kind of in one direction, you can kind of look in another spot in the room, and also noticing if that brings up anything. And so I'm wanting you all to start to notice with these exercises, if you can notice in real time when your nervous system starts to get activated. So we're going to play with that a bit and bringing your weight as far forward like a tree. So you're not bending your knees, you're just bringing it forward to where your edge is at. Then you're going to bring it back without bending any of your limbs to where your edge is at, going backward as well. Notice if there's any difference in moving forward and moving back. Become intrinsically aware of what's going on inside. Like, is there any kind of nervous system reaction? And notice what parts of your muscles tense up when you come forward. Notice what parts of your muscles tense if you go back. And then bring it back to center. Back in alignment. And just taking a few moments just to soak that in, what it feels like to be totally balanced. Equal weight on both sides of the body. Equal weight in the front of you and in the back of you. Playing with this, if you're just in line at the grocery store, if you're at a party talking to people, notice how you're holding your weight. The more that we get really familiar with this, the more that we grow that interoception, the more we'll be able to notice what's going on with our kidneys and with our adrenals. Eventually, where if our adrenals are pumping out too much adrenaline, we're actually able to soften the adrenals down. So as you're standing with equal weight, now we'll bring the awareness to a potent posture in kind of our central channel. So when we were just a single cell and we initially split into two cells, that first splitting was our central channel. So this is bringing in a little bit of Chinese medicine. So let's imagine kind of our legs are our roots, our feet are the roots of a trunk. So everything from the pelvis down, we're literally kind of pushing down into the earth. We're getting rooted. Just feeling that for a couple of breaths. The thoughts come, bring it right back to what is your body doing right now. Getting grounded from the pelvis down. And then from the pelvis up, we're imagining like this central line that's coming all the way up and out the crown. And this is lifting everything from the pelvis up. Just feeling that for a couple of breaths. And this is our line of sovereignty. So this is on an energetic level. This vertical line is our self-identity. This is us and our sovereignty. And then let's bring our awareness behind us. So see if you can bring all of your attention to the back of your kidneys, the back of your skull. This is our energetic line connecting us to our past, to our ancestors, to everything that's happened in our lives to bring us right here in this moment, working on getting into this moment more effectively. Bringing all of your awareness to your back, carrying with you everything from the past, from your lineage. And in order to get to the front, we need to go through. So now see if you can bring your awareness to the inside of you, the inside of your body. Sometimes it's helpful for people if they close their eyes. See if you can bring your awareness to your heart, your intestines, your stomach, your diaphragms. What's happening in all these important, vital places of you inside of your body? What emotions are there? Sensations? And now we bring all of that, our work on the side of us, our work vertically and our sovereignty, our past, and we bring it all to the front. So this line of energy is representing us and how we are showing up in the world, how we're putting one foot forward. So bringing your awareness to the front of you. So it helps to bring the awareness to your kneecaps, the front of the kneecaps, the front of your hip bones, your heart, your sternum. And then bringing to mind, how are you showing up? So even if it's just a sentence or even just a word, saying to yourself, what is your intention and how you're showing up? And standing in that for these last few moments of class. How are you bringing your regulated self forward into this world?